The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Speaking of things that might not make sense, now up to bat, our way too early pitcher performance review. It's our PPR here. PPR. I'm not sure when we're going to do another PPR, but it's probably still going to be too early to actually be reviewing these performances. But Brandon, why don't you take it away? Do you have any particular guys that you've liked what you've seen so far?
Absolutely. I'm going to start off with a guy that pitched yesterday and made his second start of the year, and that's Julio Urias. His two starts so far this season, he has gone 6 innings in both. He allowed 2 runs on opening day and had 6 shutout innings last night. Look, I mean, for a guy that's coming off a fantastic season, where I'm pulling up his stats here, but I know that he was certainly in the Cy Young voting for the National League. I'm just really impressed with what I've seen, and really out of the Dodgers too, because it feels like a lot of people have been down on the Dodgers and just, they're certainly not that first choice team anymore when you're talking about favorites. But Julio Urias as your ace until Walker Buehler eventually gets back later in the season is really not a bad thing. And, he could certainly win a Cy Young. He's only 26 years old. He does have the stuff. He has the run support behind him to get some of those more traditional stats like the win losses. Julio Urias been pretty exciting to watch so far.
Yeah, I think the one issue that could hold Julio Urias back, and the issue that held him back last year, I felt like, was getting all of the traditional stats. It doesn't feel like that should be something we're talking about here, but I feel like rather than the counter narrative that, the traditional stats don't matter, it's becoming, the traditional stats are just buoyed by being on a great team. If you have good traditional stats on a mediocre or bad team, it looks way better for you in your case than when you're with a contender and get 25 wins.
I mean, his last 2 years combined, he's 37-10.
And again, that's great numbers,
it's
especially
excellent.
from the 10 standpoint. That's showing you a lot of good stuff. The fact that he's only lost 10 games. You said 3 years or 2 years?
Last 2 years.
Last 2 years combined. But at the same time, people look at it and they're like, okay, but it's the Dodgers. This team's probably just propping him up. Even though the rest of the stats kind of support that, you add to the fact that I don't think he's that flashy with the eye test. I've never been blown away by the stuff, especially compared to other Dodgers pitchers. So
he doesn't have to blow you away, crazy breaking balls, all that. He's just a very solid, good pitcher. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But let's talk about a guy who actually has been blowing us away in this first run through the rotation. It's time for a little bit of more overreaction here about another Cy Young contender, Jeffrey Springs. What's going on with Jeffrey Springs here? Look, this guy is about to be another one of these Tampa Bay darlings that the stat people are going to fall in love with, because I can already tell he's primed for that breakout. These Tampa guys, it takes them a year or two to get their footing in terms of this, and then they're going to eventually figure these. I don't want to call him like a career minor leaguer because that's not fair, especially for his age, but a guy who looked like a fringe MLB player a couple years ago. Now, all of a sudden, in his third season with Tampa, I feel like he could really be primed for that major breakout. Texas, Boston did not work out in any of those years, came up at 25. This feels like it's about time for him, if it's going to happen at all, I should say.
I just want to know, what the hell are the Rays doing to these guys? How? How, LJ? Where do they come from?
I think they might make them out under the stadium.
Yeah, right?
We talked about this a while ago. They just manufacture. They've got this pitching school under the stadium. That's where all the money goes, and it's like some rite of passage to be able to make it up into the major league roster. You have to fight your way out, swim out the Ray petting tank.
No, it's just
get out.
it's unreal what he's been doing or did in that first start.
The first start, and then it's almost like acting like his starts last year, 135 innings, 2.46 ERA. Like, yes, again, he hasn't been going deep, but the fact that you take him 6 innings yesterday shows maybe they're ready to open him up a little bit. And last year, either way, very, very good. His bullpen work the year before, very, very good. It might be time for this guy, and I feel like you also can't talk about the Rays and talk about Jeffrey Springs without talking about Zach Eflin in this first time run through the rotation as well. Because here you're talking about a player 1.80 over 5 innings, so that's what, 1 run over 5? 5 strikeouts. This is their the guy that they paid, and honestly quite handsomely compared to what anyone else in the world would have been giving Zach Eflin. But I just feel like this is going to be the same track for him. We're probably going to see a solid year out of this guy and then gangbusters next year, and I'm not ready for that mentally.
Well, LJ, it would be a disservice to this segment if we didn't talk about what is probably the best pitching performance that we've seen so far this year. And that is our guy, the reigning NL Cy Young, Sandy Alcantara, who threw a complete game shutout last night versus the previously undefeated Minnesota Twins. Only allows 3 hits and 1 walk. But LJ, most impressive, it was a 1 hour and 57-minute game.
Insane efficiency. That's one of the, I guess you'd call it a benefit. I never know what to understand. Are you hearing that too in the background?
Yeah, I hear something going on in the background, LJ. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's whoever's in the office next to me right now. Very loud. I've never actually heard people in there, but anyway, what was I saying? I've lost my whole train of thought. Sandy. Yeah. I'm not sure whether we call it like a huge success to be under 2 hours, but like, it just goes to show the efficiency. I guess it's the benefit. If you're looking for a shorter game, that's the benefit of low strikeout day, because that's the one, if we're looking for places to nitpick, which I feel like once you've won the Cy Young, you have to nitpick the next year to be able to get back. It's part of the rite of passage.
Hard to nitpick a complete game shutout,
I mean, the strikeouts haven't been there. 7 over 14 innings. That's not easy.
Very true. Very true.
He's gonna have to get that up, or else he's got no shot at this Cy Young. I'll tell you that right now.